Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody uh, with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never ever alone. Here on Invisible Condition, we get it. Okay, I get it. As somebody who is, I'm with you, man. I've lived with an invisible condition my entire life, starting at 2 weeks old with my first brain surgery. So I get it. Sometimes life can be tough. Sometimes days can be really hard. Here's the thing. The other side of the coin is there's always hope. Always. 1000% of the time, there's always hope. So if you are in a spot where you are struggling with that and you don't know where hope is and you feel like it's left you in the dust, shoot me an email and just put hope in the subject line. And I would love to talk to you because if you've lost hope, you're almost dead in the water already. I want to help you. So drop me a line right there and just put hope in the subject line and I'll reach out and maybe we could talk or jump on a call or something. And we can see what we can do to help you. So, all right. Now I would love to talk to you just for a second about, you know what? No, I'm going to do that later. I'm going to talk to you about this later. If anybody's been watching for a while, you know what this is. This is published by our nonprofit called Hydro with Hope. That's our nonprofit partner. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit later in the show, but I'm excited to tell you about it because it's really cool. And it's something that was born out of my experience as somebody with hydrocephalus. And it's been absolutely amazing, the number of people we've been able to help so far. So we'll talk about that later. For right now, I'd love to introduce you to our guest. Her name is Scarlett Stanhope. And Scarlett is also known as the Biz Hippie. And Scarlett helps coaches and entrepreneurs transform their relationship with money. You're an entrepreneur. You want to make money, right? Yeah, me too. So she helps people with that shift, right? For that relationship with money so that they can finally feel supported by the work that they love. Even with a background in finance and accounting, Scarlett discovered that knowledge alone doesn't solve the emotional blocks that many of us, me included, carry around money. From time to time, haven't we all, right? So after confronting her own struggles with worth and workaholic tendencies and financial mindset stuff, and she created the Empowered Abundance Program, which I'm sure we will talk about on the show, combining practical financial strategy with deep mindset coaching, which you got to have both. Honestly, if you don't have both, you're in trouble. It's just not going to stick. So today we're going to talk, and we're going to talk about how she helps people break free from the limiting beliefs around money and about money and step into a future where their work, their value, and their finances are finally lining up. And so it's a beautiful thing. So, all right, let me get this out of the way here so I'm not staring at that so I can see Scarlett. There she is. Scarlett, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. This is going to be fun.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Absolutely. This is going to be good stuff. And so I want you all to be paying attention because this is something that I think probably, I don't know, 100% of us probably deal with at one point or another. I was going to say a lower number, but really it's 100%. Let's be real. So I'm going to put this right here. Where is it? Oh, first I want to just, because we're going to be talking about a subject that I'm sure that 100% of us deal with. If you out there in TV land ever have a question or you hear Scarlett say something, you're like, that's not true. I've never heard that. That's not what I've heard, and you want to talk about it, drop a comment on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Just let us know, and then we can address it and go from there. And then also this is Scarlett's website, and so you can also scan that QR code. And what are they gonna find at that QR code if they scan it? They're gonna find your website, but what are they gonna find there?
Yep. So that brings you right to my website. There's a few awesome things on there. One is the link to take my free quiz to discover your money mindset type, which is an awesome way to get started in shifting your relationship with money. I also have information about my signature program, Empowered Abundance, which you already mentioned, and as well as several podcast episodes. My own podcast is listed there, as well as the several guest podcast episodes that I've done over the past couple of years in my business. So those are some of the things you'll find on there.
Awesome. All right. Well, so if you want to know everything you ever dreamed of learning about Scarlett, that is the place to go to. And so that we'll just leave that there for the majority of the show. And so you'll have plenty of opportunity to check that out. So I have one question that I like to ask everybody at the beginning of every show. There's never a wrong answer. I've always heard great answers. And so I'm sure this will be exactly that. On those tough days, because every day is not perfect, right? On the days that are tough, that your mindset is struggling, that you're struggling with what's going on, how do you still maintain hope?
That's a really great question. And I think for me, there's two components. One is letting the, I guess, negative days, the hard days, be okay. I find that when I'm in that low vibe place, when I'm in that hard place, it's easy for me to pile on thoughts of like shame, or I make a whole story about it and I wonder, why is this happening? What's wrong with me? And all of that can really compile and become a longer downward spiral. So one thing is just accepting that lows are a natural part of life and knowing that it's not permanent and that I can move through it. And that eliminates a lot of energy that can really become a downward spiral. And then on top of that, I tap into the gratitude that is present in my life. There's so many situations where my life could be worse off, or I could be facing other challenges, and even just being grateful for the hardships that I am facing, grateful for the challenges I'm facing. Like, there are people in the world who wish they could have the challenges that I had, wish I had the hardships I had. So staying connected to that while also just letting the hard negative energy be okay too.
I love that. That actually reminds me of an ad I saw one time. It was, and this is you'll understand why it's related in a second. But there was I don't remember what company or nonprofit or whatever created this commercial, but it was so sobering. In the United States and other parts of the world as well, in a first world country, right? Like, we invent crap to complain about, right? Like, we don't have anything to complain about in the United States or most Western civilization, right? There's nothing to complain about. We make stuff up. And so this commercial was, and maybe it was AI, I don't know, but it looked very, very genuine. It was like a person in, very rural, African country with the grass hut, and, like they have like 3 possessions and that kind of thing. But they were reading a line like, man, I hate it when I have to go all the way downstairs because the Wi-Fi disconnects. Boy, that's hard, or, like, oh man, I hate it when my expensive water filter doesn't spit out the water that's perfect every day, or like, it's like, really, these are the problems that we think are problems,
Totally. Yeah.
It's so fun, and probably not doing it justice. Everybody go look on YouTube and find, like, don't hate me for it. I just, like, it's a very vivid commercial, and it's a very vivid picture of the fact that we really don't have anything to complain about. So, but anyway, I digress. I so today's topic is a little different, everybody. This is where it might seem unrelated, but it's not. So how does our invisible relationship with money impact our health is what we're basically going to be talking about today, which I know sounds unrelated, but it's really not. So how does that relate, Scarlett?
Yeah. Well, so my whole entire everything that I do is really centered around money and our relationship with money. And the work that I do now is deeply personal because growing up, it was this idea of chasing success and therefore money that really dictated my whole entire life. So I was the perfectionist, straight A student, high achiever. By the time I was 20, I was checking all the boxes of success. I was managing restaurants. I was maintaining my 3.9 GPA, getting my bachelor's degree, had zero student loans, zero credit card debt, had a lot of money in savings. I was crushing it on paper, but inside I was like a zombie. I was depressed. I was burnt out. I was in a toxic work environment. I was in a relationship I had no business being in. I had weekly migraines and I was covered head to toe in eczema. And my health and the mental state that I was in was really due to chasing this always moving finish line of trying to get enough, trying to be good enough, and this hustle for money, hoping that someday I would arrive at a magic finish line that would tell me I've done it, I can chill, I can start to enjoy my life. But the problem was that finish line always kept moving and I could never arrive. So, from my own personal experience and looking around at our society, I believe our relationship with money is the underlying invisible condition that affects all areas of our life, especially our health.
Right. I totally agree. And that begs a question in my mind of so people have health issues. And so there's health issues, like the two main things that people are concerned with, like how's like, oh, am I healthy or am I not healthy? And how does my bank account look? Right. So it's like, financial health and physical health. Well, it's almost like the chicken and the egg, right? Which one comes first? Like, am I suffering? Am I experiencing financial stress because my health isn't great? Or does my health suck because I'm worried about the financial that's not the way I want it to be? Like, like which one comes first,
Totally. I think they're so interwoven, and this directly impacts your health in two big ways from what I've seen. One is when you have money stress, which most people do, even no matter how much money you have, often there's this sense of money stress or not enoughness that's just chronically grinding under the surface. It's like weighing on your shoulders, it's going in the back of your mind. What that does is it puts your body into a constant state of fight or flight where you're upregulated. Your body is unable, your nervous system doesn't feel calm. You're not able to shift into rest and digest. And because of this, your body is unable to recover. And that being in that constant state of stress and worry literally burns you out in the long term. It is the foundation to cause other health issues. So when you spend your whole entire life with this sense of stress and not enoughness, that's going to impact your health in so many ways. So that's one version. And then the other version is if you're stressed about money, it's really hard to be able to prioritize important things for your health. For example, I've heard time and time again, like, I can't afford the organic produce. Oh, I haven't gone to the dentist in years because I don't have dental insurance and like don't want to pay for it or can't pay for it. Oh, I can't, why bother paying for the gym, especially if I'm not going to use it anyway? So that's the other side of the coin of then when we are stressed about money, not only is that impacting our health, but it actually holds us back from truly taking care of ourselves. Meanwhile, on top of that, if we're hustling for money, we're overworking, working too many hours, working too long. We're not actually able to rest and give ourselves the self-care that we need.
Totally. Yes. And if you're chasing money, now words are important, right? Like vocabulary matters. So if you're talking to yourself about money in a way that's not healthy, you're just going to perpetuate that. And then you're going to be going down that spiral and you're not going to be able to pull yourself out very easily. You can still do it, but it just takes effort. So what are there are common things that people say, I'm sure, that you hear all stinking day. And it's probably like fingernails on a chalkboard after a while. It's like, I'm hearing it, like, don't say that. What are some of the most common things that people say that are like when they come to you and they're like, oh, I'm so stressed about money?
Yeah, I think this shows up in so many little ways
Yeah,
throughout our day, throughout our lives that we don't even notice it. It could be
right.
as simple as like, I can't afford this, or I don't have money. Like, how often do you hear someone say, like, oh, I don't have money, which is actually inaccurate? Like, maybe you don't have the amount of money that you would like, but we're constantly affirming this sense of not enoughness. And I would say the simplest way that I describe this when people come to me with problems around money is everybody has some version of what I call the 3 scarcity seeds, which are the foundational scarce based beliefs that run rampant throughout our society. And every one of us encounters this and deals with this in one way or another in our lives. The first
Okay.
one is already talked about it. It's not enoughness. It's the sense of there is not enough to go around. So I need to work hard. I need to fight. I need to compete in order to get my share because life is a pie and there's only so many slices and there's not enough for everybody. The second scarcity seed is worthiness, and not enoughness and worthiness go hand in hand. If not enoughness is there isn't enough or I don't have enough, then worthiness is I am not enough. Like I am not good enough. If
Or
there's only
because
so
I'm not good enough. I don't
right.
have enough, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
If there's not enough to go around, then who's to say that I'm worthy of taking my share, especially when if I take too much or if I take my share, then someone else is going to lose out. So am I really worthy and deserving of receiving or taking or having? And then the third scarcity seed is what I like to call starving artist syndrome, which is a belief of either or. Either I can do what I love or I can make money, but I can't have both. Those things don't go hand in hand. And all
Oof.
of these are so common that we just accept them as true.
It is. And man, what you said, one of the things you said there reminded me of an experience that I had going to a natural food store that I was going to one day because I wanted to get a certain type. I think I was after a couple different types of flour. I was going to bake some gluten-free cookies, and so I was looking for tapioca flour, white rice flour, and potato starch. And that was the combination I used to make this gluten-free flour, and it was really good. They're really good. And I was running low on one of them, and I saw several packages of one of them on the shelf, and one of the workers at the stock people or whatever people that work at the grocery store stocking the shelf, and she saw me grab every single bit. There was like 6 bags of it, and I was like, I'm buying it now because I'm baking a big batch and I need a whole bunch of flour. And she came after me. She's like, you can't buy all those. What are you even talking about? She said, we won't have any left for anybody else. I'm like, you're a grocery store. You get orders of this stuff every week, every day. Like more will come tomorrow. Like you're never going to run out of this stuff. You know that, right? But she was terrified that she was not going to get any more because I was buying it. That was
Wow.
the craziest thing. And the other thing I mentioned that, like, my wife has helped me a lot with this because she's brilliant. I totally married up. And she's corrected something in my brain years ago that a lot of people, everybody's heard the expression, money doesn't grow on trees, right? Oh, you can't do it, like my grandparents, right? Hey, you can't, or like the older generation seems to be hooked on that phrase. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't buy that. Well, she turned it around. She's like, well, of course it does. You just have to find the right tree and make sure it's watered. That money does grow on trees. You just have to know where to look. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
There's an infinite amount out there. It's just moving around everywhere. You just have to have it move towards you. So
Yeah. And I think this is really the perspective that I bring to my clients when we look at these scarcity seeds, is because they just seem so obvious, because it's like the water that we've been swimming in. We don't really see it. It just becomes as natural as air, but it's still there, and it's
yep,
not the only way. And the example that I like to bring to the table is when we look at nature. We come from nature, we are a part of nature. And when we look at nature, it's the most abundant thing. It's
yeah,
this infinite cycle of flowing in and out. So we look at a tree, we would never say to that tree, you're not deserving and worthy of taking in carbon dioxide like that, because you're not tall enough, or your branches aren't shaped right, or because one time you, I don't know, did this thing. We would never say that to a tree. The tree is infinitely worthy of receiving the carbon dioxide that it needs in order to survive. And then as a
right,
result of taking in that carbon dioxide, it pumps out the oxygen that we need. And so
yeah,
money and the way that we live our lives and what we desire from a place of enoughness is part of the flow and the infinite cyclical nature of life. Our output is someone else's input, and us taking in is contributing to the cycle. And that's very different than just like, if I take too much, it's bad, it's evil, it's wrong. We're really only looking at one side of the equation instead of
yeah,
looking at the whole big picture.
totally. And that reminds me. So I come from kind of a biblical perspective, and there's several many places in the Bible that talks about money, of course, and provision, and one of them that sticks with me every day, and I've seen visuals of this in just everyday life. It's the birds in the air, and the flowers in the field, and the animals in the wilderness and stuff. Like, they don't work, they don't sweat and toil and produce and all that kind of thing, yet God provides. We don't. It's the provision is everywhere. It's not about what you do, it's about it's provision is everywhere. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's people get
Yeah.
so caught up in their control of it, and it's not really about control. I don't know. I mean, am I crazy there?
Yeah.
But like, it's not about, if you
No,
try to control, if you try to hold on to it, right, it's gonna slip right
yeah.
through your fingers. If you know like that,
Yeah,
it'll,
exactly. Exactly.
right.
Because money
Okay.
is like water, it's just rivers always flowing, and it's flowing into your life, and then it flows out of your life. But that doesn't mean it vanishes from existence. But also, I believe that money really is power. Like that saying, money is
Yeah.
power, is true.
Sure.
But I take that as a positive, because we all
Yes.
have money that we wield every single day, but often we do it unconsciously and unintentionally, because you can direct the flow of money in your life. And with that money, you are creating your life and what is most important to you and the life that you want to live. You're also creating the world around you, because how you choose to direct your flow of money, those are the plants that you're watering. That's the
Yep.
direction of the river that you are flowing. And so we actually hold a lot of power in our lives. And I believe that consumption is actually a positive thing, because, for example, when we look at um, all the plants outside, the plants need the animals to come and eat the plants to distribute the seeds so that they can grow bigger and more abundantly. Like, it's
That's
natural
right.
that they're just going to infinitely expand and grow. But the problem comes down to when we are living our lives and making decisions and choices rooted in scarcity and rooted in not enoughness. It's very different to be consuming and like needing more and more from this place of, I don't have enough and it's not good enough, and I'm trying to reach this end goal and I'm trying to fill this void in my chest and feel like I'm good enough. That's very different than consuming from a place of enoughness and alignment and safety and sufficiency, just like the birds do when they eat the grapes off the vines.
Yep. Exact. Well, and more simply, and we're gonna, we're gonna take a break just for a second. I want to recognize our sponsors and say hi to them real quick. But when we come back, I want to that kind of thing. It's like I want to kind of continue that conversation because it's important that because people think, well, if this person gains, then this person has to lose, and it's just not. It's not that way. And it's a mindset thing, really, is what it all comes down to. And we've been talking about that the whole time. And so I'm going to take this one. I'm actually going to take this one down because I'm going to put a different one up. But I will see you in just a second. Thank you so much for being here, Scarlett, and for having this discussion. And we will see you in just a minute, and we'll pick up where we left off.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. I want to tell you or talk to you about something real quick that I have actually found great value in, and I hope that the same is true for you. So just real quick, I want to share something. Honestly, I just kind of tripped into this. I just stumbled upon this from a previous guest that I had on the show, and they started telling me about it. I was like, oh my gosh, let's learn more. And because if you've been watching for any length of time, you know that I'm always looking for simple, natural ways to support my health without doing anything crazy. I'm not the extreme guy, okay? But I found this company called Healthy Home, and they've got some of the most thoughtful wellness resources, I'll say, stuff that just supports your body's ability to do what it already wants to do, that already knows how to do naturally, such as repair where it needs to repair. And it might not even be something what you think. Like you might think, well, my knee hurts, but your body knows that maybe there's an issue with your heart that needs to be fixed first. So it'll fix that first, and then it'll go to the knee, right? Your body is so smart. Or maybe balancing hormones or improving your circulation or your skin or joints or whatever. So I've been diving into this a little bit and learning how it works. And it is some of the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's nothing crazy. It's just the things that they offer at Healthy Home are just things to help your body, help support your body in what it's already doing, what it already wants to do. So if you're even just a little bit curious and want to learn more, call that number. Very nice young woman will pick up the phone and answer all your questions. And then you can dive into the website and see what you see, see if you find anything interesting. So that's that. Also, I do want to, also real quick, oops, nope, not that one, this one. Now we can see it. If you saw that at the beginning of the show, NRG Studios, love NRG. It's called Network Referral Group, and it is the coolest business networking group I've ever been a part of. I've been networking for decades, and these guys do it right. And that's why they are sponsoring our studio, because I asked them to, because I love that group. So you've seen Mike Weiner has been on the show twice. And he is amazing. He owns NRG, and he's the one that sponsored our studio. And so we love Mike. He's amazing. If you are sick of networking and not getting things out of it, and you want a never-ending source of referrals, this is your QR code right here. Scan that. It'll go to the website. You can come check it out, see what you think, and go from there. So one last thing is our nonprofit, Hydro with Hope. I showed you this at the beginning of the show. This is the book that we provide for people. Hydrocephalus is a very common condition that affects millions and millions of people. And there's over 400,000 babies born with it every single year. Every 15 minutes, somebody's going under in an OR for brain surgery to treat it. It's common. I want this journal to be in the hands of every hydro warrior on the planet. Let's start with the U.S. Let's start with everybody in the U.S. But I want to get this into your hands. And that's part of what our nonprofit does. That all costs money. Here's a link. There it is. I don't know where I'm pointing. This link will help you to donate to Hydro with Hope. You can donate one time. You can donate monthly. Thank you in advance for anything that you are able to do to support that and get these journals into the hands of families that need it. So, all right, everybody, let's bring Scarlett back. And she might have to remind me where the heck we were in the conversation, because memory is only the second thing to go. But where were we? What were we talking about, Scarlett?
Yeah, so we were talking about the infinite flow of abundance and how when we get closer and closer to nature and using nature as an example, we can see how consuming in alignment as opposed to living your life from a place of scarcity actually can tap you into a more abundant life and really eliminate these scarcity seeds and these false beliefs of not enoughness.
And how can that, now people are probably watching and they're like, okay, Jeff, bring it back, man, bring it back around. The name of the show isn't money, money, money. The name of the show is Invisible Condition. So how does this affect people in their health? And I mean, is this a psychosomatic thing, or does it really affect people in their health?
Yeah, I think it happens both ways. I think honestly, the fastest route to health is living an aligned life that you love. It's only when we're truly living in misalignment, when we're stuck in unfulfilling jobs we hate, when we feel like we're constantly burnt out and exhausted because we just have to keep working, because we have to stick to the grind. We have to keep worrying about money, and that keeps us awake at night. Like, that's what really compromises our health. And so the fastest way to live an aligned life that you love, which fuels you and energizes you and charges you, is to make sure that money is not controlling you, but instead having a relationship with money where you're the one in control of your money and you're the one in control of your life.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you see it in marriages all the time when one side is more in charge than if it's not a mutually beneficial, both are contributing, it's not like I'm in charge of 50% and you're in charge of 50%. We're both in charge of 100%. It's our marriage, right? So yeah, you gotta that's true with money too, I suppose. Yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah, I love to look at money as a relationship. I think that it's like a perfect measure of it. And so many of us allow money to be in control of our lives. And that's why our health gets compromised, because we're basically a slave to our money. And we think that the solution is to work harder and get more. And someday, hopefully, we'll have enough where then we can be the one in control of our lives and we can start to prioritize our health and we can start to live a life that we love. But I believe that that day will never come. And what we need to do is actually start living that life now, today, starting with the money that you already have, and learn to wield your money really powerfully, actually as a tool to create that life.
I could not agree more. In fact, my wife and Catherine and I were just having this discussion literally minutes before we sat down to record this. And she were talking about that. We're like, look, we have to, she has this mindset, kind of this mantra and it's like, people love to work with me. People love to work with me and they love to pay me for my services. I am meeting people every single day that want to pay me tens of thousands of dollars for my services, right? Money is coming in every day, and because why not? It's conditioning your brain. It's creating neural pathways that weren't there before, that maybe you have to combat old ones that were the opposite, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this really goes back to the common scarcity seed, the belief of starving artist syndrome. Like, either I can do what I love or I can make money, but I can't have both. This is really the big one that keeps us trapped in unfulfilling lives, in burnt out cycles. I've been in it. I've been in the toxic work environments. I felt trapped and felt like I have to pursue this career. I have to keep going because this is the only option, and nothing is more compromising for your health. And so how do we really break free from this old limiting belief of either or, and instead see that the reality is and. In fact, when you do what you love, when you feel fueled, when you feel passionate, that brings a different energy to the work that you do. And you have to, get the mindset on board. You have to unwind these old patterns and believe that what you have to offer is valuable, that there are people who want it, that you are here to serve and make a positive impact on the world. And that, of course, people not only are able to pay for it, but want to pay for it. And that by them giving you their money, you're not taking anything from them. You're actually serving them very powerfully.
That's right. It's an exchange of value. It's an exchange of energy. It's an exchange. Nobody's taking anything. Like you said earlier, or one of us said earlier, there's money everywhere. It's just a flow. It's just an exchange of value, So okay, well, so have you seen, like, you work with clients, right? So have you seen, and I know this is kind of an obvious question, but I want to get some examples here. Where have you seen, I should say, clients experience health improvements, like less anxiety, better balance in their life, all that kind of stuff, once they figured out that mindset with money and changed that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have one specific example that comes to mind. So I was working with a client, and prior to working together, she was somebody that crushed it at work. She just had this infinite to-do list. She worked really hard in her career trajectory. She was in a corporate 9 to 5, and she just carried a lot of weight and had a lot of pressure on her shoulders. Mm-hmm. And right before we started working together, she actually had left that 9 to 5 job and was in this interesting transition period where she was wondering, like, okay, what do I actually want to do with my life? And she was basically rebuilding her life from the ground up. She had recently gotten divorced. She had left this old job. She had previously been like running a business with her husband, and that went under. So she was in a huge transition period. And through our work together, we got really clear on what is actually most important to you. What do you care about? What kind of life do you want to be living? And we saw that these old patterns of really crushing it in a 9 to 5, working really hard, being exhausted, being burnt out, not being able to prioritize herself, right? Things were out of control. She wasn't healthy because she was working like crazy. Meanwhile, it was showing up in her body in different ways, right? We can all imagine what that could look like. Could be weight, could be skin issues, could be headache issues, all of the ways that burnout and exhaustion can show up. And through our time together, we discovered that what was most important to her was actually taking more time off, relaxing, spending time with her family, with her young girls who were growing up, and just being in nature more, slowing down. And that these beliefs of, oh, I need to achieve and push harder and check everything off my to-do list and thrive in a corporate setting, like, these were just based on old beliefs of what she thought she should be doing and what she had to be doing. And so we discovered that she actually could afford to work part-time just based on her situation. She was able to sacrifice in some areas and live in a home that was very minimal expenses. But as a result, she spent more time with her kids, spent more time in nature, found a part-time job that she loved, that she was passionate about, and she just made sure every area of her life was in alignment and was fueling her. And this changed her stress levels, it changed her energy, it changed her routine and what she prioritized and what she chose. It changed the way she felt in her life. It changed the way she felt in her body. It changed everything because she didn't have to do it the old way anymore. And she could really just start to live a life that was truly in alignment for her without money holding her back.
Yes. And that reminds me of a decision that my wife made last year to leave her corp. Speaking of doing something you love, she had 26 years at this corporate job that she got hired right like 3 months after we got married in 1999. She got this job, and it was kind of an admin focused, editing and office work. And, she wasn't an admin assistant, but it was a lot of those kind of skills. And she was making just enough to survive. Right. We were never like, it was one of those, right? The worker bee always gets paid just enough to keep them there, and she left. She's like, I'm done. I can do so much better. And so she left, and now she doesn't work all day. So we find each other doing things in the middle of the day that we never had time for before, because by the time she was done with her corporate day, she was exhausted. And so she sat on the couch and did nothing. Now we're going for walks in the middle of the day. We're going to, we need something at the store. It's 2 PM on a Tuesday, whatever. Let's go get it. And it's like, it's so much freedom. And then the other thing is taking, and this is that biblical mindset again, that Sabbath. People can call it whatever you want. Call it whatever you want, but we take a day. If God created this whole universe in 6 days and even he rested on the seventh, I'm going to take a day off. If even he took a day off, I'm going to take a day off. And I didn't do that for years. And in the last few months, I've started doing that, and productivity has gone up.
Right.
Like restfulness and attitude, and like your general demeanor starting the week after a day of rest is so much better.
Yeah. And what impact does that have on your health, to give yourself not only like the rest that you need, but also to feel fueled by every area of your life, right? Like, yes, you still have to put effort into work. You still have to do things. But if you love every area of your life and you're living an aligned life, then life starts fueling you instead of draining you. And it's the difference between an upward spiral and a downward spiral. And that bleeds into everything, especially your physical health. And I think I myself am my own perfect example of this, because when I was working crazy hours in a restaurant, crammed into the weekends, while also getting my bachelor's degree, and also, when I would get home from work, I would also be exhausted, and that would lead to worse habits. That's when you go for the crappy food. That's when you just sit and binge and watch Netflix. That's when your sleep schedule is all messed up. That's when you don't get out of the house and socialize and spend time with friends and family, and you start self-isolating. Like, this is when everything compounds, is when we're living from a place of scarcity and not enoughness and stress and chasing more and more money, versus when there's a sense of enoughness and safety, and you build upon that, it changes everything. Yes.
It's funny you said something. So this is something that I'm gonna tweak a little bit, but it's total, not to correct anything you said, but just to give it a different spin. So you said when you're going on that downward spiral and you just binge on Netflix, right? Well, you can positive binge on Netflix too, right? So on that Sabbath, on that day that we take for rest, like I remember one a few weeks ago. Like, so there's two shows that I am just hooked on. One of them is Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. And the other one is Hell's Kitchen, because I'm a cook. I love cooking.
Awesome.
I love cooking. And so I'm so hooked on that show. And we literally found a new season of Hell's Kitchen that we hadn't seen yet, because we've seen them all. And we saw one we hadn't seen yet. Literally in one Sunday afternoon, we watched the entire season. We were doing stuff around the house and stuff, and like making lunch and making dinner and whatever. But like by the end of the day, we're like, oh my gosh, we watched the whole season. That was a pretty cool, but we didn't even care. We didn't even feel bad, because it was a day of rest. Right. Yeah. So we're like, that's a totally different mindset than I feel guilty because I'm binging because because I don't know, like what you were talking about.
Right. And I think it's the energy. And that's really what this all comes down to, is like the energy behind the actions matters more than the actions in itself. And so many of us live our lives taking action, all forms of action, from a place of not enoughness. So the Netflix binge that I used to do was a lot of, I just need to numb out and be a zombie. I'm burnt out. I just need to fill this void, and I need to turn my brain off. And it was this, like, I'm uncomfortable, and I need to become a zombie to deal with this discomfort. This shows up in other ways. People with like eating disorders who binge eat, right? This comes from similar emotional wounds of I'm trying to cover up this, right? Escapism, alcoholism, all versions of escapism, which is very different than this is fueling me. I'm intentionally choosing this. This feels in alignment for me. This is a conscious choice. This is what I would enjoy. You can take the same action, but if you're doing it from that energy of safety and enoughness, it totally changes the result. It changes the way you show up in that action, and it changes the way you feel after.
Totally. And same thing with spending time with, spending time with your spouse, right? Like I was saying, like going on a walk in the middle of the day, like that is, some people would say that's exhausting. We get back and we're like ready to go. It's like, it's energizing, we get back, we're like, all right, what are we doing next? And it's all about the attitude behind it. So
Totally.
yeah, if you find something, and it's such a cliche, but it's like conspiracy theories, right? If it's a conspiracy, it might not necessarily be a theory, right? It might be true. So same kind of thing. It's like, if you feel good doing it, and if you're doing something you love, you're never going to work a day in your life, right?
Exactly.
I mean, people say that all the time, but it's freaking true. So,
exactly.
yeah.
And I think that these principles, they apply to money, right? And the flow of your money, because money is how you take action. It's one version of action. Anytime we spend time, energy, or money on anything, we're making choices about our life, and therefore we're creating this life that we're living. So these principles, they can apply to your money. And when you apply them to your money, it really shapes and changes your life in big ways of what actions drive what I choose to spend on, what I don't choose to spend on. And am I making decisions from this sense of not enoughness, or am I making decisions from a place of abundance? And this applies to all areas of life, not just how you spend your time, but also how you spend your energy, also how you spend your money. And I think this plays into your health big time, because so many people might be like, oh, I don't want to eat the healthy food. I don't want to go to the gym. It doesn't feel good. I don't enjoy it. I just want to eat the ice cream, and I just only want to do like lazy things. But there's a difference between the short-term gratification and then the long-term. But after the fact, how do I feel? After I go to the gym, I feel better. After I eat all the ice cream and binge watch the Netflix from a avoidant place, then I don't feel good. I feel crappy. And so I think that we have to go deeper into these conversations around what's the energy behind the actions, what's truly the life that you want to live, what is truly in alignment with your priorities and your vision, and how can you start to live that right now with every single action that you take and every single choice that you make.
100%. I mean, you can, like we said earlier, I could binge watch an entire season of Hell's Kitchen and spoil my dinner with a bowl of ice cream at 6 p.m. and not even feel bad about it, because it's the intentionality behind it, and you're doing it deliberately as an exercise of relaxation and giving yourself time that you need. Or you could do it out of a different mindset and feel terrible about it for a week because, oh my God, I binge watched and I ate that ice cream, but it's all about the mindset and the intentionality behind it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I love it. Well, so we've got about 4, maybe 5 minutes left. And so is there any last 5-minute or less nugget or example or something that you want to leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is recognizing that it's really possible to live a more thriving and abundant life starting right now, from exactly where you are and exactly how much money you have. It's possible to create the vision of what is most important to you. It's possible to prioritize what is most important to you, including your health. And it's possible to choose what lights you up and brings you joy. And it might feel impossible. It might feel hard and far out of reach. It might feel like you need to win the lottery and someday you can do it. But the reality is there are practical steps that you can start taking right now to begin to shift your relationship with money so that it no longer holds you back and no longer dictates your life. And in fact, it's actually very simple, and you can start to do this now. And when you do, that momentum compounds, and that momentum allows you to feel energized, to feel fulfilled in your life, to feel charged up in your life, to get to choose what is truly most important to you and start living the life that you are meant to live. And I know this is true because I've seen so many people do this at all income levels all over the world. And I've been able to do it for myself too.
Love it.
Money used to completely control my life, but it doesn't anymore. And it doesn't have to impact or control yours either.
Oh, I'm telling you, I think the more we talk, okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you a question of you out there, because I have a feeling in my gut about this, but I want to ask you. So please put in the comments, because I want to know. I really do want to know. Let me know where you're watching from, first of all, because I'm always excited to hear where you're watching from. But also, would this be valuable? I mean, what Scarlett is doing is so valuable. It's like Michelle Cooling, that we've had come on the show twice a month for the last, how many years? Year and a half, 2 years now. I know that's of value because you have told us that it's of value. Would this be of value? Would you want to learn this on more? Would you want more information about this stuff? Because if you do, we'll see if we can figure out a way for her to come on a regular basis and talk about it, because I feel like it's important, because money and health is related. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys, though. Seriously, put a comment in Facebook or YouTube and just say, I want to know more. Yes, let's do it, or something. And then we'll decide, because I think this would be valuable, honestly. So, and then also, of course, scan the QR code, get in touch with Scarlett, for crying out loud, and learn more about this, because it's important. So, yeah. Well, we got about a minute left. Any last minute thing, or any last minute new thing you got coming out, or anything like that?
Yeah. The last thing that I'll share is, the simplest thing you can do to really take this to the next level, the easiest step you can take is actually discover your money mindset type, so that you can learn how to work with your specific money mindset type and use that to shift into your next level of abundance. So I actually have on my website a free quiz where you can very quickly learn your money mindset type and how to start working with it. It's super fun. It's super simple. And the results give you tons of information about your money mindset type and what to do with it, so that money doesn't hold you back anymore. So you can take that on the QR code. It is on the website. You can go directly to thebizhippie.com/quiz to discover your money mindset type.
Love it. All right. That's beautiful, because it's kind of like there's so many personality type tests out there, right? Like, are you the Labrador, or are you the whatever, or there's the disc, or there's the, so this sounds like a money focused version of that a little bit. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that, because that's important. Money's a big deal. You gotta get that done. So very cool. Very cool. I love it. Well, Scarlett, thank you so much for being here. This was amazing. I knew we were going to have a good episode, but I'm my brain is exploding right now with ideas of things. So, so I feel like this probably isn't the last time our audience is going to see you, but we'll talk about that later. But thank you so much for being here and doing this. I so appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure getting to chat about this with you. And obviously, I'm really passionate about this conversation. So I hope that you and everybody listening found something of value in this conversation today.
100%. I did, definitely. It kind of awakened some stuff in my brain that kind of had gone dormant after a while. So it was pretty good. I feel like I say this all the time, but I feel like I learned something new every day. Every show I do, man, I'm like, oh, of course, so yeah.
I feel the same. I always feel the same.
So thank you for that, Scarlett. Thank you so much. Awesome. All right, man. All right. That was cool. I love episodes like that. That's so fun. I hope you had fun. I hope you guys got a lot out of what we talked about today. I'm so excited to have her come on again. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. So thank you for wherever you're watching from. Like, seriously, I wouldn't be here without you coming and checking out what we're doing every week. So thank you so much. Join us on our next episode, which will be Tuesday, March 24th. And until then, have an amazing day. We'll see you soon.